go hard, all day, all night. On my brows are the people who be ready to fight. Say yeah, 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 yeah. We ain't ashamed that we came from the park. And if you're looking for trouble, our bite is worse than a bark. Cause we done proud of them boys till the day we dead. We got fists made of fire and a neck all red. We keep it dirty, keep it gritty. Don't need your sick, don't need your city. Keep it dirty, keep it gritty. On my brows are the people, let them know that you're with me. Go hard, all day, all night. On my brows are the people who be ready to fight. Say yeah, yeah. Day, all night, on my brows are the people who be ready to fight. Say yeah, 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 yeah. We ain't ashamed that we came from the park. And if you're looking for trouble, our bite is worse than a bark. Cause we done proud of them boys till the day we dead. We got fists made of fire and a neck all red. We keep it dirty, keep it gritty. Don't need your sick, don't need your city. Keep it dirty, keep it gritty. On my brows are the people, let them know that you're with me. Go hard, all day, all night. On my brows are the people who be ready to fight. Say yeah, 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 yeah. We go hard, all day, all night. On my brows are the people who be ready to fight. Say yeah, 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 yeah. We ain't ashamed that we came from the park. And if you're looking for trouble, our bite is worse than a bark. Cause we done proud of them boys till the day we dead. We got fists made of fire and a neck all red. We keep it dirty, keep it gritty. Don't need your sick, don't need your city. Keep it dirty, keep it gritty. On my brows are the people, let them know that you're with me. Go hard, all day, all night. On my brows are the people who be ready to fight. Say yeah, yeah. Day, all night, on my brows are the people who be ready to fight. Say yeah, 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 yeah. We ain't ashamed that we came from the park. And if you're looking for trouble, our bite is worse than a bark. Cause we done proud of them boys till the day we dead. We got fists made of fire and a neck all red. We keep it dirty, keep it gritty. Don't need your sick, don't need your city. Keep it dirty, keep it gritty. On my brows are the people, let them know that you're with me. Go hard, all day, all night. On my brows are the people who be ready to fight. Say yeah.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Schmoz Cast. I'm your host, Anthony, in the studio with Chandler and Andre. Fellas, season's beatings.
Right back at you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Merry Blissmas, Happy Rusev Day, all those things.
Hell yeah. Hell yep. Okay, so we've got a lot. Yep. Check. Okay, we've got a lot of stuff going on. We've got to wrap up things about the Clash of Champions. We're going to review that. Big week in wrestling in some ways. There are lots of like little news stories, I guess. Not necessarily a great week of like super huge important or great match. Okay, how about this? There wasn't really too many great matches. There was a lot of great things that happened. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Huge things.
Huge thing. So let's start with Clash of the Champions. We're going to get to Women's Royal Rumble, Hideo Itami. We're going to get to all sorts of stuff. But let's go with Clash of the Champions. Chandler, you want to give us some of the results before we get into each match and break things down?
Yeah, just to run things down here. The kickoff show started the night off where Mojo Rawley defeated Zack Ryder. Then we had the United States Triple Threat United States Championship match where Dolph Ziggler defeated Baron Corbin and Bobby Roode to become the new United States champion. Then we had the Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way match where the Usos successfully defended their tag team titles against the New Day, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, and Rusev Day, which is Aiden English and Rusev. Then we had the SmackDown Women's Championship Lumberjack match where Charlotte Flair successfully defended her title against Natalya. Then we had the Bludgeon Brothers defeating Breezango. Next, we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeat Shinsuke Nakamura and Randy Orton, and thereby keeping their jobs in the WWE. And the main event of the evening, AJ Styles successfully defended his WWE Championship against the modern-day Maharaja Jinder Mahal.
Let's start off with the main event and work our way backwards. How about it? Andre, these are really two of your favorite wrestlers. I enjoy both guys. I think AJ Styles is he's the wrestler of our era in terms of in-ring ability, and he is very much, I think, the Heartbreak Kid. Is he almost a combination of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels?
He might. Oh man, I can't believe I'm actually going to say this on the air. He might be better than both Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart.
Wow.
No,
I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just weird to say it out loud because how can it just seems so weird,
as
right?
the biggest Shawn Michaels fan in the history of the world, it's taken a long time for me to, because I've always said he's at that level, and he might just be better. I could be wrong, but what he's done in his career of 15, 18 years has been just incredible. But yeah, he's definitely our version of Shawn Michaels for sure, in WWE at least. So I'm not too upset with him retaining the title here. I'm upset that Jinder tapped. I wish he would have lost by a pinfall, but I enjoyed the main event, and both of them put on a great match, and the story that was told was really good. I was into it.
Chandler, what do you think about this one? Did you also your thoughts on the usage of the Singh brothers?
I absolutely enjoyed this match. Really glad that AJ was able to retain. As far as your question of him being a combination of both Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, I think that he absolutely is. Because, I mean, you look at his ability to use a submission like the calf crusher, and Bret Hart used the sharpshooter. I couldn't think of the name for a second. And then you look at the athleticism side, him doing the phenomenal forearm, Shawn Michaels being able to, high fly whenever he wanted to. It was, I absolutely enjoyed this match. Jinder Mahal showed me a few things that I hadn't seen. He used a couple new moves that I really haven't seen him use, which was fantastic to see.
Did he go shell shock on us?
He hit a shell shock. Yep. He hit another. It's like military press type of slam type of move into a gut buster. I'd never seen him, use either of those in a match. But as far as then the use of the Singh brothers is with Jinder Mahal, I'm so okay with him using the Singh brothers as the way that he uses them, the way that he has used them in the past to be a distraction, to get the advantage, to try and make things. You go more in his favor. So I'm more than okay with him using the Singh brothers the way that he does, as long as it's him doing it. If I don't know if it works as well with someone else doing it the way that he has done it, but the way that he's done it, it works for me.
It's kind of like J&J Security in a sense.
Exactly, and I felt that they did that the right way as well.
That's funny because I was reading an article this week that made that comparison, but with the Miztourage, and I think it was actually the Rolling Stone article where they said that the Miz was the wrestler of the year, giving Braun Strowman the runner-up or the honorable mention in that category. Really good story on Rolling Stone. I love what they do with their wrestling coverage. It's really cool to see them and Sports Illustrated, who we're going to talk about a little bit later. Getting involved in ESPN too, for that matter, and Fox Sports as well, and CBS. These guys actually over the last couple of years have really pushed and improved their wrestling coverage from little to no coverage to, or just being an internet occasional story, to being pretty consistent. So I think that says a lot. I think that's super cool. I wasn't super high on this match. I think I've been jaded because I recently saw the AJ Styles Ring of Honor DVD a few weeks ago, so now I feel like I saw the best of him versus all these other guys, whether it be Cedric Alexander or I don't know, Adam Cole or whoever he was facing in some of the on that DVD, and it's like, oh my god. But I did appreciate Jinder breaking out new moves. I'm glad the Singh brothers stuck with him and that there's not a breakup, anything official that they kind of hinted at for a while. So that was good. But back to AJ Styles, because okay, he's not the better promo than HBK. And he might not be as great of a technician as Bret Hart, but he's a pretty solid combination of both, I think. It's hard to get as good as HBK on the mic, but he has maybe a wider array of moves. And I don't know, it's just an interesting comparison to me, and I didn't think that we'd ever really get to having someone of that ability.
I didn't either, and I've always loved AJ Styles and TNA and everything, but he's definitely getting it done, I think, in WWE to the point where 1 or 2 more years of this kind of level of in-ring performance, and people are going to be talking about him like that. I mean, honestly, think if WWE owned the video library to TNA, maybe that would be more of a discussion. But because he was created outside of WWE, they're not going to really hype that. But I think he's definitely at that level of a Shawn Michaels and a Bret Hart.
So there you have it. AJ Styles retains the championship over Jinder Mahal. They would be involved in a 6-man tag on Tuesday night on SmackDown Live, involved with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, along with Shinsuke and Randy Orton. So let's talk about that match. A very important match in terms of, the careers of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Also, maybe building a little bit more of a feud between Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. What do you guys think about this one?
It felt like definitely after the match on SmackDown the following Tuesday, it definitely felt that this was This is now leading to something between Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. Like you said, this was of all week, this was probably the most important match, the most important storyline, had the biggest stakes out of everything, because 2 top superstars possibly could have lost their jobs, but they didn't. And I'm glad that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn won, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how the rest of the stuff with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. I'm really looking forward to see how this is going to play out, and fingers crossed that maybe we can get a match out of Daniel Bryan here.
I really going into the match, I wasn't sure how the double referee thing was going to work. But watching it happen, watching it unfold, I thoroughly enjoyed it. They did the perfect job of telling the story between Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and the 2 referees, Shane and Daniel Bryan, doing the back and forth, the starting the match with both of them counting, and then them having to decide, okay, you count on this side, I count on this side. Shane breaking that late in the match, going to the other side, counting, and then not doing the 3, and Daniel Bryan getting them back with the 1, 2, 3 fast count. Set it up perfectly, and I don't know if we're going to see Daniel Bryan return in WWE or not, but it looks like they're setting up something with him and Shane, whether Daniel Bryan's going to have a wrestler wrestle for him against Shane, who knows, but Daniel Bryan's probably turning heel or something. I don't know. They're setting up something, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a really good use of special guest referee, and it was a really good use of doing the 2 referees, which is not something I don't know if this is something they've ever really done to that extent in WWE before. I know they've had the enforcers on the outside, and I know in Mexico a lot of times they have the dual referees where they have the heel and babyface referee. I've seen a few matches in Mexico when I was there several years ago where they did that, and I always enjoyed it. And I like the way that they played it out here. And I like that Daniel Bryan did fast count, but it didn't feel like it was a heel thing to do, because it felt like Zayn and Owens earned it, because they should have got that fast count, or they should have got their regular count when Shane didn't. So I loved the story that they told, and I think it was a really good match. It might have been my favorite, even though the tag match was a better match per se. This match was probably my favorite of the night. AJ Jinder was good too, but I really enjoyed. And Daniel Bryan, you got to love Daniel Bryan. He's one of the greatest of all time. Yeah,
it was great to see him back in the ring in any sort of capacity, like during a match. They did it. It was fun psychology. It was different than things that we'd ever seen before. I like that. There was an added storyline, not just between the future of Owens and Zayn, but also building something between McMahon and Daniel Bryan. So it was cool. It was different. So I like that. The match itself, I don't know, it wasn't spectacular, but it was more about getting the storyline and setting things up for the next few months. So on a Clash of Champions, the last pay-per-view before in between the big 4, leading up to the WrestleMania season, I'm fine with it, and it was fun. There was cool things that happened too. And gosh, is there anyone better than Kevin Owens in terms of not talking into the mic, but like things that he says that mics pick up, but he knows that people are listening? Okay, so he's like pulling on Shane McMahon's baseball jersey referee shirt, and he says, "Why do you always do this? You always have to be special." I don't know, things like that.
I didn't catch that.
Oh my gosh!
Was that before the match started?
It was before the match started, and they're in the ring. And he's like, like, why doesn't Daniel have to get one of these, or why can't you? It was so. I just love little stuff like that.
Kevin Owens is the best at that. He's since he's been in WWE, I've loved listening to him
Just
as
during
he
a match,
wrestles.
yes.
Yeah, just talking smack to the opponent and saying things to the ref and doing it loud enough to be picked up on the mic. That's just awesome.
It is the best. It's hard to even think of anyone that comes close to him. I think he's really cornered the market on that. I'd have to think back a little bit harder about who would be in the same realm as him. And I'm sure it's someone who is not even in WWE, that it's more of maybe a Ring of Honor guy. But Kevin Owens is the best at that. And or little things like selling his hand after hitting Roman Reigns with the chest protector, or little I don't know. He makes so many things good that you wouldn't even think of.
And that's a part of why he's like, why I'm pretty sure we all feel that he is one of the best in the world going today. It's because of those little nuances that you might not think are important, but when you look back on it, it all adds up, and it's details. It's paying attention to details, and it's important.
I just want to point out, New Day does a lot of talking during their matches too.
That's a good one. Yes, they are also very good, and they're in between banter. Like talking smack or whatever it might be. It's not just when they're interviewed. It's while one of them is talking and the other two are throwing in random stuff here or there,
that's
like
the best.
contraceptive. Or what is that? Contraceptive Plan B, or what? I don't know. Little things I think are so much fun. Sami Zayn as a heel, I thought it was weird at first, and I'm glad that it's something for him that's more important, and now I'm buying in even more and more, and I just love what he does. And there was a point in the match, I think he was like on the end of the ropes, and he was like looking at a fan, and he yells, "You like that? It's all for you, pretty boy," or something like that. Like, I don't know. I love that he's really opened up to this, and he hasn't been a heel basically at all since he's come to WWE, whether it be in NXT or on the main roster, Raw, SmackDown. And he's playing an important role now, and I think that he's hitting his stride now. Not that it was bad before, but I think he's really getting into the groove of being the type of heel that he is.
And I mean, a big part of it too is, like you said, it's just giving him something more than what he previously had, and that's the most important thing. I think that's why he's really starting to like you said, he's kind of finding himself, and I think that's a part of the reason why he's starting to find himself. It's just because it's something for him to be able to latch onto and to invest into, and instead of just having random early to mid card matches that don't amount to anything.
He's playing that sidekick heel, and I know that, and not in a bad, like it's a good thing, and to latch on to who better to hitch your trailer to than Kevin Owens.
Yeah, and it's not such some generic heel. He's actually, I'm just kidding.
I gotcha. I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
But when he first turned heel, when he pulled Kevin Owens off the table, I wasn't sure how it was going to be. But honestly, I think he's doing more than just good. I think he's knocking it out the park. He is Sami Zayn, how you would expect Sami Zayn to act, but as a heel. He's not completely changing his character, which isn't a bad thing either, because when people
That's the best thing.
It's, you can, like, the New Day, or not the New Day, the Usos completely changed their character. Nothing wrong with that. But Sami Zayn is still, like, Sami Zayn, babyface Sami Zayn. He's just a heel, and he's acting more. I'm trying to explain it as I'm thinking of it right now, and it's probably not making any sense. But I love the way he's acting as a heel, where he still kind of does the dancing, and he's just more of a heel, and he's more of the sidekick, as you say. And I'm loving the banter with him, and the smart comments. Whereas before he'd say things as a babyface that I didn't exactly like, those white meat babyface sayings. It's just like, oh, come on. But now as a heel, he can say things kind of like sarcastically, like you said, like we're doing this for you, pretty boy, and it works. And it works. So I think it's more than just something for him to do. I think it's something really good for him, and I'd like to see Sami Zayn as a heel for a good little while here, because he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I want him to continue to take the ball and run, and I actually think that this projects better for him as a face turn down the road too, to have this, because then you're I don't know, I just think that once you've been a heel, you have maybe some more of like the internet fans behind you, and then a face turn can be a good thing. I think he'll be a better face when he turns next time than he was before.
I think as a heel, you have more freedom to
easier
try
in some
things.
ways. Yeah.
And if they don't work, it's okay, because you're a heel. Whereas you're a babyface, you gotta try. If you try something new and it doesn't work, the fans crap on it, and then it hurts you. But I think sometimes it's easier to be a heel in certain situations, and I think it's benefiting Sami Zayn.
Absolutely. Well, let's think about this. If you're a WWE fan, you don't watch NXT, you're just, you hear of Sami Zayn or whatever, he shows up you like, why were we supposed to like him? You know what I mean? As guys who watch NXT, and we even saw him perform in NXT in Milwaukee before, you know, the main call up. So we had, I mean, there was like a built-in thing. We knew who he was, plus the Ring of Honor, El Generico, all that stuff is great. But if you're just only WWE or, you know, main roster watching Raw and SmackDown only, that's the extent of your fanhood. There's nothing wrong with that. But you just like Sami Zayn because you were told to like him. It wasn't, you know, there wasn't much behind it. It was just, here's this guy, white meat babyface. So a lot of the times you are going to get kind of subpar reactions from fans, whereas now they get a chance to hate him and then hopefully love him when he kind of endears himself to them and have a reason for it, as opposed to showing up to being Bret Hart's introduction for a John Cena, you know, United States Open invitational, which is fine, but it doesn't, it's there because like he's new, it's fun, that's why we like him, they tell us he's a good guy, as opposed to the next time like he'll do something that will actually maybe resonate with fans, that can make him a more important face. If you guys agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Outside of the series of about 3 matches that he had with Kevin Owens, you know, since coming to the main roster, he really didn't have much of anything. And like you're saying, there's no reason to invest. There's no reason to actually like him outside of the fact that, you know, here's this new guy and he's really talented. It especially for the fans that are just strictly, you know, watching Monday Night Raw and SmackDown live on USA Network, no WWE Network. They don't really watch, you know, independent, nothing like that. And like you said, there's nothing wrong with that. But for that type of fan, I can totally understand not being invested in someone like Sami Zayn, because they really, up until recently, gave you no reason to be invested in him. Now there is a reason to be invested, because he cost Shane McMahon the Hell in a Cell match. He cost him and Kevin Owens cost Team SmackDown Live the whole Survivor Series pay-per-view. You know, there's reasons why you wouldn't like him now, and it makes more sense now. And once we get past him being a heel, past him being a bad guy, however they bring it back around to him being a babyface, there will be an actual reason to be invested in him, and hopefully he can be more successful on that run than his original babyface run. Whenever that happens, which I hope it doesn't for a little bit.
I think we all agree with you that it's down the road at some time. It doesn't have to be anytime soon. Certainly not before now in WrestleMania, unless they have an Owen Zayn thing planned, which would be fine with me. But I think it's further out than the near future.
Question to both of you. In his career, will Sami Zayn win a world or universal championship?
Because there is 2 titles, yes, he will. If there was one, I would say no.
I think I'm going to agree with that. I'm still not entirely sure, even with there being 2 titles, just because of how he had previously been booked. I worry about that happening again whenever he breaks away from Kevin Owens here. I'm worried about him falling back into that same spot. I don't want him to, but I'm worried that it could happen. But the fact that there's 2 titles definitely it's in his favor.
I think he will, but I don't think it's going to be a huge like title run or anything like that. I think it'll come during a feud with Kevin Owens when Kevin Owens is the champion. So it'll be more of like a Mick Foley to The Rock type of situation, which is nothing wrong with that. Mick Foley's even said there's a place for transitional champions. So I think if he wins the championship, that'll be the case. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope he does more, because he's incredibly talented. We talked about Kevin Owens and AJ Styles being 2 of the best in the world today. Sami Zayn is up there as far as his in-ring ability. He is really, really good.
And, you know, it wouldn't be the worst thing if he were that kind of transitional champion, like you said, because, I mean, that's kind of what happened with his NXT title run.
I was just going to say the same thing, because he won it. You know, everyone comes out to, similar to the Mick Foley thing. Yep. You know, you have guys lifting him up on the shoulders, the whole thing. And Owens has one of the best turns we've maybe ever seen. And what did his reign last? No more than 2 months for sure. Maybe only 6 weeks to a month.
It was at the next TakeOver event that he lost the titles to Kevin Owens. So, you know, and that even albeit short, that was a good run. I thought that was one of my favorite NXT title runs, and it's probably one of the shortest. But I enjoyed it. I don't. And if they were to do that with either the World or Universal title on the main roster, I wouldn't be upset by it. And hey, at least we'd be able to say that Sammy did win one of the big ones. So
yeah, and I think that we talked a little bit about Aiden English's projection and Alex, whatever his face is.
Alexander Wolf.
Alexander Wolf. I was going to say Alex Wolf, but I was like, that's not it. This is what I do. This is forgetting names on Saturday mornings here on 103.5. But no, I think his projection can be a world champion. I don't think it's a lengthy, CM Punk type of reign or whatever. I don't think it has to be, but I think with 2 titles, and especially him being on SmackDown, and hey, Jinder Mahal was a jobber who got fired from the company, came back, and was the world champion. This can happen to Sami Zayn. I'm not trying to throw shade at Jinder, just saying that you can come out of all different background situations, leave, come back, whatever it might be. Sami Zayn can easily be the top guy on SmackDown.
So Sami Zayn's going to get big as heck now, or what?
I don't know about. I wouldn't say it with that. I wouldn't go that far. That's one thing that actually might hurt him, but. And we're going to talk more about the XFL thing down the road, but I wonder if Vince McMahon's attention being put in other places maybe benefits a guy like a Sami Zayn. I'm not sure. We'll maybe get into that a little bit more later. We got some other matches on the card we want to get to. A ton of stuff to get to today for the Schmoz cast. The Bludgeon Brothers defeat Breezango. We saw this coming. We thought there might be a little bit more comedy involved based on some of the conversations we had last week. Not quite what we got. Kind of a abbreviated match. That was kind of par for the course. All right.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it. The Bludgeon Brothers, their tandem offense, they're really, really good, and I mean they've been together since their days in NXT, so obviously they have the chemistry together. But their moves, their double team moves are they're so on point. I'm really looking forward to them rising through the ranks and hopefully getting to the tag title picture. Whether or not they win them, that's I'm okay with if they win them or if they don't. But I definitely want them in the picture. Like within the next coming weeks, this Fatal 4-Way match that we had at Clash of Champions, I want them to be one of the 4 teams. Coming up here,
you'd put them instead of Rusev and Aiden English?
Right now, I wouldn't, just because they're still building, but I want them to be able to be in that position
because
soon.
I think a fun comedy match would be Breezango versus Rusev and Aiden English.
That would be,
so
yes.
I wouldn't be upset with that.
I'm a huge fan of the Bludgeon Brothers as far as Luke Harper and Eric Rowan are concerned. Big fan of their in-ring abilities. Their tandem offense is great. Still not sold on their gimmick. The ring attire, I don't know if I like it yet. Their little post-match back and forth little talking segment didn't really do it for me. But I love these 2 guys, so I'm going to still give it. I think I said something to this extent last week where I'm kind of up and down. I'm not 100% sure how I feel. And after seeing them at Clash, I mean, in the ring, great. But afterwards, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying the gimmick yet. I'm going to give it time because I didn't like the broken Matt Hardy stuff for the first couple weeks that happened, so I learned from that to not hate something too soon. So I'm going to give a few more weeks and see, but I'm not completely sold on them yet. Their gimmick, I should say.
No, that's fine. I think that's fair with the Thor hammers and everything. There's some weird aspects to it. I think that they don't know quite what it is going to be yet, which is fine. I think when you get in a more lengthy rivalry that it's maybe an easier path to shape your character. So time will tell. Anyway, a quick match, which was fine on a SmackDown only pay-per-view. That works. Charlotte retains over Natalya. It was a match. It was a lumberjack match.
I wish Natalya won, knowing what I know now from Monday, because
I knew what I know now.
And I'm sure we'll talk about it when we get to that topic, but I really want to see Charlotte Flair in the Women's Rumble.
It was a match.
Yeah, it was a match, and it seems as though Natty's done now. The way things ended after the match, she kind of gave a post-match interview and said that the WWE Universe has turned their back on her, so she's turning her back on the WWE Universe, and left the ring crying. That was, I feel like, a bigger story than the match itself, because who knows what that means. She wasn't on SmackDown the following Tuesday, so is she done? Is she teasing being done? We'll see. But yeah, like you said, it was a match.
So now we got the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The Usos retain. Lots of retaining going on here so far. We've got one other title match to get to. The Usos beat New Day, Chad Gable, and Shelton Benjamin, as well as Rusev and Aiden English. Last week I talked about the trajectory and the height of Aiden English, his apex or peak. I think he actually hit it this week. I think it was actually after last week's show that he went a little bit above what I thought he could do. And I think some of the Tuesday segments really were helped put him over the moon, I guess, a little bit of what I thought he could do. So I guess good for him. But was this your guys' match of the night? At first I didn't think so. I rewatched some of the pay-per-view last night, and it's hard not to go with this one.
Hands down, this was the match of the night. 2 words: Chad Gable. Just suplexing everyone. Oh my goodness, he went off in this match, and I'm really glad that he had this match, because since we all found out that Jason Jordan is Kurt Angle's son, and he left his tag team partner high and dry. Chad Gable's kind of been in a weird spot, even though he's been paired with Shelton Benjamin now. I don't know. I've always been a huge fan of both Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, and I'm absolutely all for their in-ring ability. They remind me so much of the Steiner brothers. They're a couple of the most technical wrestlers like on the company today, and it was really nice to see. It was awesome to see Chad Gable, have that moment where he was just suplexing everyone, including Big E and Rusev, who are like twice his size. But it's really, really nice to see the internet react to it the way that they did and give him the props that he has deserved for a long time. So that was really cool. That's a big part of the reason why I feel like that was the match of the night. There's other reasons too, just it was a fantastic match. There was a whole lot going on, and I'm also happy that the Usos retained.
And what we've got from the last half of 2017 between Usos and New Day we knew that we were in store for something pretty big. And Andre, this was the highest rated Dave Meltzer match as well. It's got over a 4-star rating.
Yep, 4.25 for this match, I believe. I'll double check to make sure. It was definitely the best match as far as in the ring goes last night. Jeez Louise. On Sunday for the pay-per-view. It was... When you get those 4 guys in the ring together, or those 4 teams in the ring together, I mean, even though I'm not... Aiden English is Aiden English. But you can get the rest of those guys in the ring together. You expect good things to happen. Chad Gable shined. Chad and Shelton Benjamin, I think they're going to win the tag team titles. The way it's looking, because they got that clean, which I'm sure we'll get to, they got that clean victory on Tuesday. Looks like they're pushing them to that position. But yeah, not much to say about the match other than it was great, as usual, when you got the New Day and Usos in a match. And yeah, I mean, best match of the night.
Outside of the storyline angles and other things going on, this was the highlight. This was like the gem of the night, I would say. And this one didn't necessarily have too much storyline built into it, but that's fine. We're wrestling fans. Give us a good match, and they did just that. First match of the night, Dolph Ziggler is our new United States champion, or he was.
Or is he? Yeah.
Yeah, so he beat Baron Corbin and Bobby Roode, and now, at least for a good 48 hours or so, Dolph Ziggler was the United States champion. After my original watching of the pay-per-view, I thought that this was the best match. Now that I've gone back and rewatched, it was hard not to put the SmackDown Tag Team Champs Championship match, Fatal 4-Way, as the best. But
this is right behind it.
I think this is right behind it. Yeah,
for sure.
And I was shocked with the finish. The one guy I didn't think it was going to win actually won. So
that's what we said last week. We've said that he's going to be the guy to take the fall for either Corbin or Roode to win. So interesting that they pulled the rug out from under us on that one.
Dolph Ziggler won the title, though, right? Yeah, he won the title.
He did.
Okay.
Did.
Yeah, right. I just thought that originally that, what we said was that Ziggler would be the one to take the pinfall to make Roode or Corbin look better than, or, have to not lose without, taking the pinfall, I guess. Let's talk more about Dolph Ziggler and the U.S. title.
Yeah. So fast forward to SmackDown on Tuesday. Dolph Ziggler's in the ring. It's his United States Championship celebration that they hyped up, with a couple still shots before they go to commercial break. Coming up tonight, we have Dolph Ziggler's United States Championship celebration, and up next, Dolph Ziggler's Championship celebration. He comes out to the ring. he cuts a little bit of a promo, and then there's a video package of him, like, you know, just other successful moments in his career, winning other times that he's won the other time that he won the United States title, a couple other of his Intercontinental Championship wins, and then when he cashed in his Money in the Bank and won the world title. They had highlights of those moments. And as I was sitting there watching it on Tuesday, I'm just thinking to myself, like, why are they showing like career highlights of Dolph Ziggler, like winning all these different titles? Like, I understand he just won this one, but it just felt weird sitting there watching it, not knowing what was going on. And then, you know, just a few minutes later, he leaves the title in the middle of the ring and walks out. So it's, I mean, and once he did that, it dawned on me that was like a retrospective of his career, because is he done now? Question mark.
It had lots of shades of Shane Douglas in, you know, pissing on the NWA title. It wasn't, certainly not the magnitude of that situation and angle, but there were
of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the Shane Douglas angle was, he still didn't. I mean, he relinquished the title in a sense, but he still was.
He was introducing a new one.
He was introducing a new title.
I'm not saying that's out of the realm here.
True, but it doesn't. To me, it seems like he's insinuating he's done, but he's not. Because what I read online was that this is storyline. Obviously,
he's still under contract currently,
and he's
right?
going to be wrestling on live shows, but they're keeping him off TV to further the storyline. So where does this leave the U.S. title? Is it vacant now, or are they going to do the whole, if you don't defend it in 30 days, or are they saying you've dropped it, now we're going to have a tournament? So what happens then? And if that's the case, what do we do to crown Rusev's a good one too. What do we do to crown
Look at that.
What do we do to crown Jinder Mahal as new US champion?
No, I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's a great spot for Jinder, but I don't know. This is great though. We're talking about the US title. It hasn't always been the most prestigious title. I think that John Cena did a great job making it important and doing the open invitational, as we talked about with Sami Zayn earlier. That was when the U.S. title to me was at its all-time high. And AJ Styles had a great run earlier. Owens, Jericho it's really been a pretty good year for the U.S. title, but still you're going to put the Universal, the World Championship, and the IC over it usually. But it's something. I like it.
I think it needs a redesign. Honestly, I think it needs.
I don't like the title design
way it
either.
looks either. It just needs to be changed.
I like more gold, but still with some U.S.
some red, white, and blue.
Yeah,
it's the entire
accents.
center, the entire center plate being like the flag waving it's time for it to be revamped for sure. Which I didn't think of that. I didn't at all think that maybe that's what it was, because I took it as him being done. If this is him dropping that title and being like, I'm gonna come out with the brand new United States Championship, that would be cool.
Another thing that dawned on me was the possibility that this could be introducing a new title that Dolph Ziggler, either it's a Dolph Ziggler style title like a $1 million championship, or he wants to make it so, and with the way his character has been the last couple months, that this is going to go to the best in-ring worker. And I don't know what you'll call the title or if it'll have a different name or anything, but I think he maybe wants to rebrand it as the best wrestler, the best in-ring performer, and change it that way. And maybe I think that would pique my interest into that division, whatever it be. And you have guys like a Chad Gable or somebody that would be good in that role, as like you're fighting to be the best actual in-ring competitor. Do you guys kind of get what I'm saying?
Absolutely, I do get that. And if that were the case, sign me up for that. Because I feel like that's what the U.S. and IC titles should be for Raw and SmackDown, and it's not necessarily the case, obviously, with the Intercontinental title right now with Roman being the champ. But yeah, I think that's what those championships should be, and if that were the case, I would be all for it.
I agree. I think that should be what the title represents. A redesign is in order, but I don't think a change of name. There's so much prestige from Harley Race to Flair to Sting to Steamboat, and now, what Cena did and all that stuff. We need to keep it as the U.S. title in name and change the design of it and put it on the workhorses and have them, deliver great matches.
So we'll see what's up with Dolph Ziggler. As Andre said, we don't necessarily expect to see him on television for a little while, but that will hopefully build up for when we do finally get to find out what the heck is going on with that championship. So that does it. We also had Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder. That's something else that's going on, I guess. But moving on to Raw. So we found out that Lesnar's opponents on Monday Night Raw is going to be Kane and Braun Strowman. I don't want to see Kane involved in this. No offense to him. I would rather see him in the Rumble doing what Kane does as the person who has eliminated more wrestlers than anyone else in the history of the Royal Rumble overall. What do you guys think about a triple threat match?
It's needed because I don't want to see Braun take another loss. So Kane has to be in there to take the pinfall to Brock, since we all know they're not taking that title off of Brock until he does the job for Mr. Roman.
Wouldn't you have rather seen a double countout between Strowman and Lesnar at the end of a really good match than Kane and Strowman do a double countout?
Yeah, but WWE is not going to do that. They're going to have Brock beat someone with the F5.
So Kane is that
just
guy.
one too. It'll be just one F5.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with Andre. The only reason that I'm okay with Kane being in this match is so that he can take the pinfall. I would absolutely rather see Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar in a one-on-one match have just, the match that those two beasts can, and have it end up in a double count out outside of the ring, and just the match having to be thrown out. I would much rather see that than having Kane in this match. But since he is in this match, I am the way that I'm okay with it is
he has to
take the pinfall.
Actually, what I'd rather see is Braun beat Brock clean, but that's not going to happen.
Another way I just thought about it would be to fantasy book here is both you go with Strowman and Lesnar. They don't answer the 10 count. They get up at the same time just after 10 and then continue to fight each other after the match. And then you can build it, then you can kind of keep it rolling, but that can still be a really good match where neither of them answers the 10 count from just being brutalized by each other. And then they end up getting up and going at it again. So that was kind of what my hope would be, but doesn't look like that'll happen. Another really good Matt Hardy segment. This is getting to be very fun. They're doing a good job so far. The Hardy's battlefield of the Great War. Andre, you are our resident, seven deities supervisor. I don't even. We're gonna find some sort of title for you, but
yes, no, I'm ecstatic. Christmas came early for me this year with the woken Matt Hardy character in WWE. It's awesome. Some fans online don't like it. They don't get it. This is great. The playing chess with Napoleon Dynamite, oh my goodness.
Hell yeah.
Wow. No, that's not what happened. Napoleon Bonaparte, excuse me. It wasn't as weird as Napoleon Dynamite. He's just playing chess with Napoleon Bonaparte, who happens to hold the vessel of a goldfish now. To go along with his giraffe that has the soul of George Washington and the kangaroo that has the soul of Smokin' Joe Frazier.
Can you imagine someone just tuned into the radio 35 seconds ago and only heard that?
You have to see it to believe it, folks. That's all I got to say. And then after defeating Napoleon Bonaparte in chess, he gives a little monologue about the Great War, how long it's been going on for centuries and for eons, and how he's going to delete Sister Abigail and Bray Wyatt. And I'm loving this. Bray Wyatt's the perfect opponent for him. The promos they're doing, I know people want to see him in the ring. I know people want to see him at his complex, Matt Hardy that is. It'll happen in time. Give them time to tell the story. This is something that can be dragged out to WrestleMania. I'm loving it. Matt Hardy is the best thing going in WWE today. I will say that, at least for me.
And I really do hope that they find a way to stretch this out to WrestleMania. That might not be a popular decision, but I mean, you just think about it. The Hardys came back a year ago at WrestleMania. How awesome would it be to have kind of be full circle and have actual woken Matt Hardy this time around at WrestleMania having a match instead of just the reborn Hardy Boys. Like I would absolutely sign me up for that.
Do either of you know, will Jeff Hardy's injury be healed by that time? Can we see Brother Nero at WrestleMania?
I would really hope so. They've been really, really hush-hush about the timeline for him, and that makes me kind of feel like it might be worse than they're letting on. but I have no idea when he'll be returning.
Yeah, I think that this was the best Matt Hardy promo so far since he's been back, probably, and then also now that he's woken, I think that it also benefits, and it's kind of cool that Raw, sometimes we give WWE some flack for all the pay-per-views, but for Raw, they are going from Survivor Series all the way till Royal Rumble, so that's pretty cool, and that's an extended time. So if there is bits and pieces between now and then something at Royal Rumble, and then once again leading to WrestleMania, that'd be great. But I think that Raw is going to benefit from this extended timeline, really, where you're going to go more than 2 months without a pay-per-view, which is pretty rare. I don't know if we've seen that in probably since years ago before WrestleMania, when there used to be almost twice the amount of time before a pay-per-view. So I think that's a good thing for them. More stuff from Raw. You have the Revival, revived, back in action. I was hoping that this would happen. I was kind of hoping that they would go to SmackDown, but the Raw Tag Team division needs them so much more than SmackDown does right now, especially after what we've seen over the last week. So I'll bite the bullet on that one and say I was wrong. The Revival back on Raw. This is great, guys. We got a lot of more options now. Hopefully they can bring another team up like the club seems to be floundering. I wouldn't mind seeing a rivalry with those two. What do you guys see from the Revival?
I'm hoping, well, I want them to stay healthy because one got injured, and then as soon as they came back from that, the other got injured. So definitely want them to stay healthy, want them to be able to build some actual momentum. I want them in the tag title picture because they're definitely, in my opinion, they're one of the better tag teams in the company. Raw is definitely going to benefit from having them. SmackDown tag team division is so loaded right now. They don't need it at all. Whereas Raw is pretty much Sheamus and Cesaro. That is the tag team division at this point, especially with Dean Ambrose going down and tearing his bicep. Was it his bicep or tricep?
Is that what it was? Oh wow!
Yeah,
I didn't know.
He's going to be on the shelf.
Elbow issue. I didn't know.
He's going to be on the shelf for a bit. He's going to have to undergo. I think he might have already. They've already done experimental surgery just to see what it was. Exploratory. That's what I meant. Yes, they had to do
experimental.
But yeah,
it's like Isaac Yankem doing dental surgery.
Yes. But yeah, so that's gonna take the Shield away. So the Raw Tag division definitely needs the Revival, and I would like to see them get built up and get put into the tag title picture.
Not only that, they should get the tag titles not too far from now, not too far in the future from now, because they're, like you said, they're one of the best tag teams in the world. They haven't even hardly performed on the main roster, but we already know this. So yeah, definitely tag team title picture, and then eventually the championship should be put on them.
Yeah, it's really good to have them back. I think that's really good for the Raw division. Another thing is, like, no one really wrestles quite like the Revival. They really are very much their own thing, and it's a throwback thing that still works today. Big fan of them. That's why they're called the Revival. To end Raw, we got the news of the first ever women's Royal Rumble match. This is pretty spectacular. I was hoping for this. Andre, you were a little bit weary of it at first just because you didn't want to see two Rumble matches on the same pay-per-view. Like, that would be a little bit too much.
Yeah, but it's too good to... That matters very little now. Knowing that it's going to happen, I'm all for it. I just thought that I thought that might have been overkill, but, hearing the announcement changed my opinion on it because it's great. It needs to be done. I'm gonna retract my statement from last time and say that it's a good thing, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to this. When it makes perfect sense as to why they brought those two teams of three women, when it seemed like they were just doing the same thing on each show. It was clearly bringing enough bodies for something. I thought it would be more of. I thought it could have been this, or it could have been the women's chamber match, but I'm glad it's the Rumble. I'm looking forward to it. And like I said earlier, I kind of wished Charlotte lost, or I kind of hope Charlotte loses the title now between now and then, because I really want to see her in the Rumble because she's the best female on the roster and one of the best wrestlers, male or female, on the rosters, period. So I'm hoping she loses it. But either way, I'm super pumped for this. I love the fact that the women didn't know about it until Stephanie announced it. That makes it even better.
I didn't know that was the case or not.
So, yeah, there were reports about it. And, I mean, you can just... if you go back and watch their reactions, especially like Nia Jax, like if you look at everyone's reactions, like it looks like that was them finding out. Like it was genuine like surprise and like joy on their faces, and they deserve it. You know, they've done so much this year. There've been so many firsts throughout this year, and not only just the fact that they're breaking ground with all these firsts, but they actually have the talent to do it right now. Because I mean, you have a little list of competitors in front of us here, and just looking at that list, like, you know, that's a lot of really good wrestlers there.
Yeah, I got 17 here. I didn't put the 2 champions on. Oh gosh, I put some funny names on there. Liv Schreiber Morgan, Tamina Snuka, whatever. Ruby Riott with the second T in parentheses because we don't really know. So they do okay. I've got like 17 or 18 girls here. You still have the 2 champions. We imagine that each of those girls will have a championship match, which will take another one of these girls out of it. We just had 32 competitors in the Mae Young Classic, plus more in NXT. So they should be able to fill out 30. Do you guys see this going 30?
I think it might be 20.
I feel like 20 would be a better number. I mean, they definitely have enough bodies for 30, but I feel like 20 might be a better number.
If they have exactly 30 women, then maybe they will make it a 30-woman match. But I think 20 women is a better... I don't know. They should get 30 just because it's a Rumble. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe bring some
I guess I
more
want to.
NXT
I think there will
or?
definitely be NXT girls in it, but that won't necessarily come up to the
Women,
main
I'm
roster.
Sorry, I don't want to say girls. It's,
Yeah,
I
whatever.
don't call the men boys.
Yeah, boys.
Unless
in
you're
there.
talking about Dalton Castle, because those are his boys.
Still weird to me. So I think then you leave some room for surprises. Bring back some old names that will make it fun. So we'll see what happens, but I think going with the Women's Royal Rumble match is a great idea. Do it now, but separate the 2 on the card. Don't have them right next to each other. NXT seems to do more like over-the-top battle royals, so maybe a lot of those girls are more prepared for it, and it seems over the last year that has been a bigger theme in NXT. It's not something you see all the time, but I think the NXT girls, especially the ones who got called up, might be more like have the wrestling awareness and psychology to do this than maybe some of the girls who are on the main roster, just because we don't see it very often. We saw a match over the last year, I think it's where Sasha Banks won. It was more of a, like you beat someone and then another person comes in, but it's not
A gauntlet.
a gauntlet. There you go, gauntlet match. So not quite the same thing. So I don't know. I also think I worry that it won't go well just because there's so many people who have never done it before. But at the same time, on the main or for the guys, you only do it once a year typically, and then Andre the Giant Battle Memorial Trophy match thing. Extravaganza. I'll never say it in the right order. But anyway, exciting stuff, man. This is another first in a long line of firsts over the last couple of years. So good for the women. They deserve it. I'm excited, looking forward to it, and we'll see who becomes the first ever Women's Royal Rumble winner. Moving on. Hideo Itami made his debut on Raw and 205 Live. What do you guys think about this for Hideo Itami? He came in with so much like fanfare, and it was such a big deal when he first came in, and then teaming with Balor was a really cool idea to do the first time with NXT, and then also here on Raw. The 205 Live match, did any of you guys watch this?
I didn't see that. I saw him on Raw. I didn't see 205.
It was okay, but it was...
Who did he go against?
I couldn't even tell you, and the crowd did not give 1 ounce of a crap about it. I saw people just sitting there yawning. They were basically kind of waiting for 205 Live to be able to get their
dark match.
The dark match main event.
Yep.
And I feel bad for 205 Live because they're in a bad spot. I think they really need to switch it to be before SmackDown starts, or do something different, or even if it's not live.
The pace of the cruiserweights lends itself to being at the start of a show as opposed to the end of the show. It doesn't make sense to me how they... I mean, I know it has to do with USA and TV contract. You can't just say, okay, USA, we're going to change SmackDown's time to... So in order to do 205 Live, you'd have to do it even an hour earlier.
I suggest that then.
That's tough though when you go to the West Coast or you go certain
Well, why
places.
can't-
People are going to be still in school and at work at that point.
Why can't they
know?
just keep the same time slot, but just keep the same time slot for USA 7 to 9 Central here for us, and why can't they just then move 205 Live before that, from 6 to 7 205 Live, and then 7 to 9 SmackDown? Why I don't if it's
Because then that's 4 o'clock p.m. on the West Coast, and when you go to L.A. and you go to those towns, 4 o'clock trying to get people in the arena to watch them. I don't know.
I guess
they gotta do
that's-
something.
yeah.
They
I do
gotta
like that they're
something.
traveling on their own, though. I like that they're doing specific cruiserweight 205 Live shows that are traveling. Like they'll be traveling as a brand in the Northeast. I think maybe over January, if I'm not mistaken.
Coming
The
up real
205
soon.
Live shows are so big that the Great War is going to be fought on the 205 Live shows itself. Believe it or not.
Yeah,
Pardon?
yeah. The Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt are gonna be having like matches during this.
Really?
tour. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. What a damn, pal.
I'm worried. They're trying to really break Matt Hardy down. They're going to surround him with all these spot monkeys. He's going to go even more crazy than he already is. It's going to be a lot of deleting going on.
All right, folks, we're gonna go. We're gonna pick up the pace a little bit here. So, the New Day versus Rusev Day on Tuesday night. Should have been the main event. Oh my goodness, so much good stuff happened there. That was, if you haven't seen it, you guys really need to go check it out. Hilarious match. Even the promo beforehand where Rusev shows up as Santa, and Aiden English is dressed as, I guess, Frosty the Snowman. And the New Day apparently didn't recognize who Rusev was, so he pulled down his beard and said, "It's me, Rusev." Just so much of this stuff was the best brand of comedy. It was so good. I mean, it was hokey, but in the fun way. The line from Big E, "You flapped the wrong jack."
You done flapped the wrong jack, sucker.
Oh my gosh, so good. This was the best comedy match since WLC, in my opinion. Did you guys have anything in that time span over the last 3.5, 4 years that for a comedy match beats this?
Not that I can think of under the WWE umbrella.
Not
They've-
under WWE
Yeah,
umbrella,
they've
no.
definitely had a couple other, like Nightmare on 34th Street fight type of
Which
stuff.
yeah.
But those are I'm not a fan of those.
Or like
And
Titus
they are comedy
puking.
acts, yeah. But this, yes, I agree. Since WLC,
Since WLC,
comedy.
yeah, the best, and so funny. It really was good. According to Jim Cornette, funny doesn't make money. I disagree when it comes to the New Day and Rusev Day, and in other minor cases. But my goodness, this was hilarious. Wrestle Kingdom news. There's Mark Cuban there's an article on Sports Illustrated, a little interview with Mark Cuban about the competition between him and WWE. He says that Vince McMahon likely doesn't view them as competition at this point, and there's a language barrier, but once they really get things going on Access TV, that they're going to do a really good job. And 3 of the Wrestle Kingdom title matches are going to be on Access TV. So that's another step in the right direction. I did not see the Kota Ibushi and Cody Rhodes match included in that. Hopefully that changes over the next few weeks, because I'd love to see that one on TV here in the United States. Andre, you got wrestling in Madison coming up on Wednesday. You're going to see The Godfather, Sabu, X-Pac, Adam Rose, all sorts of good stuff. We're going to have to hear more about that next week, but I imagine you're pretty excited about this.
I'm pumped. I'm always got to love The Godfather. And Sabu is, a legend. I'm looking forward to it. And these guys I know are a little bit older, but I'm expecting to have fun there. And I'll have to share with you how it all goes.
Over the next week, we're going to tweet out our ballot information for the Schmozzies. You guys can vote along with us here on the show.
Our Finn ballad.
And all of our friends. Pardon?
Our Finn ballad.
Yeah, great. So all sorts of stuff: best match, worst match, best angle, rivalry, all sorts of stuff. We're gonna have it all. And if you have an idea that you want to have, a certain award, then let us know. You tweet the show.
You can find us on Twitter or Facebook or even Instagram at the Schmozcast.
We also saw Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne for the UK Championship on Wednesday night. Another great match. This one's going to have to go on the best matches of 2017 list. I don't think it was better than certainly the one at Chicago. To me, was one of the 2 best WWE matches of the whole year. But Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne doing it again on NXT. Go check out that match. That whole event, that was kind of like an extended, almost special version of NXT. 3 really good matches. You also had that big thick guy from Denver against Roderick Strong.
Lars Sullivan.
There you go, Lars
and
Sullivan.
He made it into the Fatal 4-Way match for the #1 contendership, and the Undisputed Era captured the NXT Tag Team titles.
Very cool. So,
Wisdom.
also, last thing of the day, XFL possibly making a comeback. McMahon sells $100 million in WWE stock, selling, but he still has about 83% of the decision control. We're going to talk about that more next week. Get you all sorts of ballot information for the Schmozzies. You can tweet the show. Where else can they find us on social media?
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check us out.
All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to 103.5, the Sun WLSP, LP Sun Prairie. The Jazz Train is next. For Chandler and Andre, I am Anthony. This has been Forgetting Wrestlers' Names on the Schmozcast.